It's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great day out there. I plan on doing that myself. We're down a tier here. We're on Himmels Fjords Dorf on the Fjord. That is how you pronounce it. All right, no questions. Questions? No questions. I'm in my KV-122 Soviet Tier 7. This is a weird premium. Kind of came at us in a roundabout way. I can't even remember all the history of the different 122 variations of KV-1Ss and whatnot, but eventually we came out with the KV-122. It's got the old 122, hence the 122 number on it, which has all of the standard problems with the Russian 122. It's very derpy, but it does hit hard. So we got a Tier 7 that hits for 390 alpha with not great pen overall. I am running an IA and food to try to tame a little bit of the dispersion, which is horrible. But what we're going to talk about today is taking a tank like this down a tier, or even if you're down 2 tiers, a map like this, looking at it and going, all right, how do I make something happen here? Where do I need to go? How do I make it happen? How do I play? And then as I analyze as the game goes, what do I do to at least try to eke out a little bit more damage and maybe even a win at the end of the day? So we are here on Fjords, spawned over on the east side, and I'm looking at this going, well, the 122 is decently speedy, actually, for a heavy. I could go up the hill up to the A row up there, but the derpiness of the gun does not lend itself to sniping from up there very well. So yeah, you could support the mediums and the lights, but at the same time, the gun's not great, and it really has no depression. So that's not really on my top of my list of things to do. The south down here at the heavy brawling zone, the heavy brawling funnel, that's on this map down there. This map drives me a little bit crazy with the amount of terrain that is unusable, but there you have it. So that's a great place for a 122, especially if I can back it up a 703 or a BZ or something like that. We're only facing a TNH and a 4502. This should go really well, actually. But let's see how all of that goes down. Could go to the middle. Could go to the middle. But again, not great depression, not extremely fast, not very accurate. There's a lot of stuff going against it. As you try to go up the ramp at about E4, you have a hard time getting any gun depression to shoot people. So I'm going to head over here to the corner. After looking at all that, looking at what the enemy team has and what our team has, my initial plan is let's go to the heavy brawling area. We're going to support the BZ. We're going to support the 703. Maybe myself and the Caro can get in there. Maybe the 01 comes in with us as well, and we should have a good time. All right, so I am fast. I go through here. I'm not really paying close attention to what my team's doing at the moment. I'm going to come around to this building and look if I can shoot some guys who might be dorking around in the middle. So often you'll get the purples pushing up to that spot. You can kind of use this little bush right here and maybe get a free shot. Now the team is starting to spread out and flow into the positions. I am watching it now. I see the BZ. He's yelling, SOS, help me. So he's pushing in with his overpowered BZ, and I'm thinking, oh, well, that's not great. It's me, the BZ, the Super Chaffee, and maybe that 01 if he shows up. Very interesting now. Analyzing what's going on. The BZ has gone around the corner. I know the 4502 and the TNH 105 are pretty fast. We haven't had either one of them lit up. I still suspect they might be heading that way, but I'm very surprised we got there first. Now, the BZ does have the rockets on it, so we probably used some of those. But he hasn't even seen them starting to come around the corner, and that surprised me a little bit. So I'm going to push in here and see if we can't help this guy out. If we can surprise these heavies. Okay, there's one of them. That's cool. Let's just go wide. And we'll push on in here a little bit. Well, I am hold down and only showing my turret. This is where I'm going to struggle a little bit with the depression on this thing. Try to keep the OI from shooting me, or the ONI. Take that shot, goes right in the derpiness of the 122. Now, I am supporting at this point, right? I want to keep these guys kind of busy and let this BZ do some hold down magic with that great big old gun right there. And if I can chip in some damage on, say, a guy that's giving me side armor like that, that's great. Ooh, okay. Oni, 01, T150 way on the corner. TNH is nearby, and a 4502. We are a little bit outnumbered right here, but this team is not very good, and they're extremely tentative, and they're probably a little afraid of the BZ-176. He puts a big old thump on this guy. I know the Oni kind of fired a moment ago, so I come up there, I take a shot at a weak spot, which is the little nipple turret right there, the tumor turret on the front, and we go ahead and get about 744 damage. So I'm watching the rest of the map. I can see the 703s in the middle. The North's doing okay, but pretty quickly I'm expecting to get pushed. The Oni does a nice job, just drops him, I think, HE on this guy, on the BZ's top of his turret. So nice job going through the top of the turret, but since he's fired, it gives me an opportunity to pop up, and now here comes the TNH. And I'm not really liking this too much at this point. Right, the TNH has the double shot. He could be running the cyclical gun. I basically decided at this point it's time to bail out. Oh, sorry, I do stick around for a little while longer. Stand by, I'm not quite bailed out yet. Fighting the depression on the gun, and I'm definitely thinking about bailing out. Forgot I used these little bushes here for a moment, thinking I was sneaky. I don't know, 30-45. Yeah, I get what you're doing, but not really helpful. He had no hit points really to do that. He wasn't going to get very far. Now the artillery's attention is over here, and this is all starting to kind of go pear-shaped. The 01 did show up, so he's helping. I'm just having a hard time getting a shot. Almost fell off the back of that. I see the BZ doing this, and I'm thinking, yep, might be time to get out of here. Might be time to get out of here. He's turned and run. I'm turning and running. So we're just going to fall back. Pretty even overall. BZ uses the rockets. Look how hard it is for him to turn. He really had a hard time getting around the corner. I'm really hoping not to eat a shot in the side. And poor 01, he's trying to back out, but he's going to have trouble. Well, what now? What now? They have a lot of power coming around the corner. The Caro's in the middle. The 703 is sort of pushing into their campers. We have most of their beef over here, and I've got the BZ-176 running. I have two options. One is to follow up with him and support him. The other one is maybe to try to hold these guys off a little bit right here. So we'll come around the corner, and now we'll kind of chase the 12T. I really don't want him to get back into the artillery. I have decent speed, so I decided at this point, let's go chase him. Switch over to regular AP. I think I actually missed this shot. That's a bummer, and we'll keep going. If I had it to do over, I would have cut left and gone down the row of buildings on the other side, because the problem here is I'm going to run in to is these guys are going to see me over here. Push in. Try to get the 12T. He's gone. I really can't chase him now, so we're just going to fall back and try to defend. Maybe I can get a tricky shot across there. There's no one to spot. That's unfortunate. No shots on them. Head up to here. And pretty quickly I'm going to notice our BZ has pushed in. That's fine. 703 is still alive. Where have all their tanks gone? There's 4 or 5 of them. What are they doing? 12T's running around up north. He continues. They actually defeated our push up to the north. Now we'll come back here and see if we can find these guys. What I don't really want to let them do is drive in behind the BZ and swamp him. So I've come back this way. They didn't push too hard. We can see him now. Let's come around this way and see if we can't get a few surprise hits on these guys as they're coming around this corner. There we go. Get one onto the 105. That's very useful. So now we've got 2 sides of their flanks covered right there. We got the BZ, although he's still messing around with the Comet. This guy's going to get a nice hit on me right there, and I'm able to snap one back on him. And I feel like I just need to keep on pulling back. I can see trees go down right there, so this guy's coming around the corner, put another shot on him. Luck out a little bit right there. Doesn't track me, and I keep moving. So I've reduced both those guys, just holding the line right here as best I can. The BZ took a really long time to deal with that guy right there, and I was a little bit surprised at both him and the 703 just kind of sitting up there. I think they're both looking into the city at the 150, the 01, and the TNH. These guys come, I get him right into the dirt. He baps me for 369. That really hurt. So now I'm basically down to a one-shot to a good number of these guys. 150 comes out. Another hit, but that's eaten by the track. Miss. Slide a little bit to the side. And now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to hold this until I get some help from the BZ. And all of a sudden this dude shows up. So he's going to get a shot on me. We'll auto-aim him. He goes by. He makes a bit of a mistake as he goes by. It's kind of the only option he had, but notice how slow his turret moves. As he went by, It wasn't online, so all he needed was one more shot on me with the APCR. Probably would pen the front of the tank, but I actually get that snap on him with a little auto aim. What helped that as well is as he went by, instead of continuing the left to right motion, he actually leveled out. You can see because he had to stay on the road right there and not dive into the water, and that gave me a very low line of sight for an auto aim shot. And I'm like, all right, what are they going to do? And that sort of surprised me. I kind of expected them to try to take on these other guys, but all three of them have decided to completely ignore the BZ and the 703, and they are absolutely rushing in on me right here. So I'm going to go ahead at this point and do Custer's Last Stand with more success. And all I can say about this, guys, is just try to survive, right? Even if I fell in the water, I don't know. I guess I could pretty easily fall too far. This is very tricky, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to do this, but I actually get away with it. I don't fall into the water right there, and I'm actually able to drive around. So now I'm just watching these two, hoping that the, what is that up there? So hoping that the Super Chaffee can reduce them enough, and that maybe the BZ can get back. And it looks like he's on his way, so is the 703, and I'm just trying to survive at this point. I'd love to pop around and hit the 150. They know they're in trouble. They're both sort of stuck right there. As long as I don't get killed, they got a lot of trouble. Here comes the 150. He's getting hit. I think he actually drives. There goes the BZ, so he'll finish that dude off for me. Or so I thought. He's got him stuffed. I thought maybe the TNH was trying to push back the BZ so he could shoot me in the back, but I survived that attempt on my life right there. The 150 is just sitting there, no reason to push around. I'm just watching this, hoping that maybe if the BZ comes around, the 150 will turn his turret. Now I can back out of this. I was kind of expecting, to be honest, the artillery to hit me. So I don't know if he was on the move or just really didn't have a shot in between those buildings. I think he probably could have splashed me to death based on where I was. So I don't know. He might be busy moving. I'm going to hang out here and hide. We'll just speed this up. You got the two heavies. I believe they both go to cap. The T25/2 is going there. I will go down into the middle. The artillery gets the Super Chaffee and then gets killed by the 25/2. I'll come up here. Now I'm kind of, what I'm doing here is the 2801 was up in the north, in the northeast up there. And I'm wondering if I'll catch him cruising across the open here. And I made a mistake. I went to HE thinking, maybe I'll get a side shot on the 2801. The problem is the way he presents, unfortunately, is the front of his tank. So what I wish I really would have done as soon as I saw him was go ahead and reload number one. Because I have intuition, it's about a 3 or 4 second reload, and I could have killed this guy. And I'm thinking, 120, I should be able to HE this dude, and nope, 95. I am a HE derp to him. I don't want him to shoot me. I thought he was maybe going to push in and try to get me on the reload, and it would have been very close if he would have kept coming. Unfortunately, he goes that way, and I don't find him again. He just disappears. So we end up with 3 kills, 2,814 damage, and kind of an unusual way for that one to go. The heavy brawl did develop to some extent down on the south part in the heavy brawl area, but the BZ ran off, and then it was left to me to sort of hold the line to keep those guys from pushing into the cap right there. Got ambushed by the 12T, a little bit lucky taking that guy out, and then just doing whatever you got to do to survive against the push. Kind of surprised those 3 didn't sort of work together and try to kill off one of the other 8s, but I guess they were headed towards the cap. They weren't particularly great players, so probably not really paying close attention, and they all 3 said, well, let's go to cap and try to cap this thing out. And I was able to hold off long enough and not die with my whole 52 hit points by the time it was done. A decent little game in the KV-122. A tank that is not particularly good, does not have great stats on the server. I'm doing really well on it. For whatever reason, it works for me pretty well. Moving along, trying to get it to the 100 Battle Challenge. So there you go, guys. Just another example of some of the things to do and think about in terms of the overall positioning and then responding to what's going on during the game, and just trying to keep that gun in the game as long as you can when you're down a tier or 2. That's all I've got for today. Thanks for tuning in. We will see ya.